We're back at Grass Clippings Rolling Hills after what I thought was maybe one of the best golf tournaments to ever take place on a golf course or under the lights. The Roses ran away with it. Gabriella Ruffles, hats off to her and her brother Ryan for winning. But, I mean, talk about a golf tournament. But before we get into the golf, I want to talk about the broadcast. Because you and I were both on the broadcast, and you were kind of like a late add-in. You were a plug-in guy because Parker McLaughlin has always been on these broadcasts, a dear friend of you and us and everybody. And he called me, and I could hear it in his voice. He felt bad and was upset. He's like, I hate to say this, but I can't make it. He goes, but, I got your guy. I'm like, okay, thank goodness. Ricky Barnes. I was like, I think I'm playing basketball with Ricky tomorrow. And I was fired up. So I didn't know what to expect with Ricky Barnes. And our guest that we bring on a little later is going to know a little bit more about your background. But all I know about you is that when I was growing up and you were in your prime, I was like, this guy is him. You wore the little hat, you had the frosty tips, you're hanging with the cool people, you're doing all this stuff. And I was like, who is this guy? And we've never actually had that conversation about just your golfing career, and I can't wait to have that. But there's a little bit of a story arc with your broadcasting this weekend, okay? You come up here all a little bit disheveled. You're like, hey, Todd, hey, where am I supposed to meet Chris or whatnot? I'm like, Chris is in Florida. You're like, okay, well, I'm supposed to go on the Golf Central. And he goes on Golf Central. He goes back in the green room. I get the whole bar down here. All the TVs are on Golf Central. I'm like, guys, Ricky's going live. Audio, we need it. And Ricky proceeds to give the most unbelievable, interview about the event that's coming up. And I'm like, let's go. Everyone's jacked up. And then Brandel Chambly goes, hey, Ricky, anything we can expect, anything we, what's going to happen out there? And you go, I don't know, but maybe there's some Ron Burgundy. And I might just say whale's vagina.
We'll throw a little Ron Burgundy in there as well. Whale's vagina, but I'll keep it there.
Cool. Happy for you, Ricky. Sounds like a blast. Wish I was there.
And I was like, oh, my God. I was like, I thought like the FBI was going to come in here. Like, I thought that was like you broke a code or something like that. And then Ricky proceeds to come out. And everybody at the bar is like, the guy from My Golf Spy was like, what just happened? He's a journalist. And then you come out and you're like, how'd I do? I was like, you tell me, Ricky. I don't, what's going on? Aren't you Ricky Barnes? Like, I don't know. And then you said Chambly thought it was hilarious. So, I mean, that got us off to a great start. And I was like, lock in, guys, because Ricky is poised to have a great day.
Yeah, I don't catch you speechless much, but when I came out and asked you how it was, you're like, did you just say that on live TV? And I said, yeah, well, we're at the Grass League. Let's have some fun. And I think this tournament alone, aside from the PGA Tour, and I've done a few things just with them, is you could be yourself. And that's what, I was trying to do, get some momentum coming into the event. And, we started off a little slow, a couple tidbits here and there, and then we started calling some golf.
No, and that's the funny part, too, is, I mean, you killed it in that interview. Don't get me wrong. Now that we know we can say whale's vagina, start using that more. But, now you're out in the field, the broadcast starts, everything, feels always a little hectic when it gets started because you want to slow down, click in. And Ned kicks it down to you and Kittleson and Stoltz and the Ruffles. And he's like, hey, Ricky, what's it going to take to win this tournament? And I'm like, okay, here goes Ricky. He's going to give us this, like, poem or something. And you go, putting. And that was it. And I was like, is he locking up? But come full circle at the end of the broadcast, after you had then just proceeded to kill it, he asked you again on the green. You go, hey, Ned, I said it at the beginning, and there's a reason I only said one word, putting. Were you planning to do that, or what was that all about?
Yeah, I think I always go out and play with buddies, and you go to events, and if you've ever played in a scramble before, you could say we hit it so good one day and we never made anything. So if you go, and I was talking to guys during the first round, and even the guys that were finished in the second round, he's like, we putted good today, and they shot 10 under. And what happened yesterday? He's like, we actually hit it pretty good and we made nothing. So I was just trying to, like you said, get to the point. I know it came across just pretty like precise and, is he locking up? But there was a little emphasis of when I actually said it, and I just said putting, almost with like a period instead of a question mark.
And it worked. It kind of threw everybody off. And I was like, and I just followed up by saying, that's Ricky Barnes. He's direct and to the point. So it worked out. But I want to start talking about the tournament a little bit. And I'm going to have the leaderboard over here just to refresh your memory. And it's, not often do I get to talk to golfers of your stature. Like you have a career that has spanned many decades, between college. You won the USAM, correct? Our next guest just came up just a little short, unfortunately. But it's just really fun to get your opinion of something like that, and having walked the fairway. So just to start, when I looked at the leaderboard going into the tournament and then after, personally, I'm a little close to this whole league, so I get jacked up. You know what I mean? Like, I'm asking guys for autographs and stuff, and you're probably like, who is this guy? But, the Ruffles won, obviously. Kevin Lucas, Matt Ryan, your boys, Drew Stoltz, Kittleson right there, Lance Massa, down the line, Nost and Harrington weren't able to come through. And I asked you the day before, I said, is Colt Nost and Harrington just going to run away with this? Are they that good? And you said, no. So I loved that. But can you just give me a little color on the tournament at large, what happened, and how you saw it through your eyes?
I think we talked about it even on the first round and the second round. The teams that embrace this format, the experience under the lights, a lot of the times are going to play well. Just because they got a great resume or have played professional golf, made it to the tour. Even a Charlie Belgian won on the PGA Tour, right? Like first time, totally different, scramble, two-man. Obviously, got to make putts, but I think the talent still kind of rose to the top a little bit. If they didn't have a good first round, we saw Belgian and his teammate play really well. Even a Peter Tomasulu and them, I think they shot the second best score of the second round. Yep. But as a whole, it was perfect. We saw an early score get posted. It was awesome. We got to go follow Kittleson and Stoltz and the Ruffles go. They were really chasing each other, out there early to post a score. And what's the toughest thing when you have the lead and you're back in the group? Once a score's posted, to go chase it. And we kind of saw it. Ryan and Lucas still hit the ball really well, really struggled to get it into the hole 14 through 18.
And before we talk about the Ruffles, I just want to mention, there are a lot of these guys with, pedigrees kind of close to yourself, where they won on tour, they played on tour, or they announced and they have podcasts and they're in golf and there's nothing they can't do. And then they come out here and one would expect that they would run away with it. They are that much better. Is this like the ultimate neutralizer, or what is it about this where a Colt Nost doesn't win, or a Charlie Belgian? And by the way, props to Charlie Belgian for everything he's done and that he's a part of this league, but his first shot on the first day was not the prettiest. His leadoff shot where I was like, he's going to ace it. I don't know if it made it across the ravine. And he comes back the next day and shoots, what was it? What did they shoot? 12 under?
Yeah.
Yeah, 12 under.
They birdied 9 of the last 10.
To go, as we knew he wasn't going to win, but be leader in the clubhouse. And I was like, that's a storybook ending right there. Like, yeah, he didn't win, but that guy, hell of a guy. Hats off to him. He means a lot to not only me, but the league itself. But answer that for me. Why are these guys that are on paper, they're the Michael Jordans of golf, but they can't seem to get it done out here?
Well, we even mentioned it on the broadcast. To get past second stage and then get on a tour and then you get a whole year to go prove yourself, coming out here, there's a lot of pedigree, right? Pros, great AMs, amateur champs on both sides, men and women's, is that the difference is not much. I know you had asked one of the guys, what's the difference? And he pointed to his head. So some guys get a mental block of just pro golf or posting a score, versus here, when you have a little backup, that's where it really helps to have two really good people on a team, and really two great short games, meaning putters, because if I don't make this, I got a great putter behind me to free me up. Or, case in point, a lot of guys like to go, let's get the more consistent guy tee off first and let the aggressive person tee off second.
Yeah, and I think we saw a lot of that. And now I want to come loop into your shoes, because I'm kind of jealous of what you got to do. You got to follow the Ruffles, Kittleson, Stoltz pairing, and the Ruffles ended up winning. And hats off to Kittleson and Stoltz because they played unreal. You know what I mean? And they just made it, like you said, made a couple more putts. Describe to me kind of this Ruffles win. You got a brother and a sister. The brother, was you might use a different term, but the way I read about him growing up was like he was a phenom coming over from Australia, gets 7 exemptions onto the PGA Tour without having to qualify. Like he was they were trying to make him the guy. I remember him playing with Phil Mickelson at Torrey Pines or whatnot, or Pebble Beach, and he, his career didn't go the way he wanted to or people expected it to. But here he is with his sister, and his sister's becoming a star in the LPGA, and they go out and win. Just put that into context a little bit from everything you've been through, and you were a part of it. So.
Yeah, I would say even Ryan had a little bit of what I did. I turned pro, didn't have instant success on the PGA Tour. Took me about 4 years to go out and then get my card, right? You played off exemptions, played on the Corn Ferry, finally got my card, played for 12, 15 years out there. But it's not just that easy when you click from amateur to pro. Obviously, him growing up, people that we knew from Australia, I would have compared him to like the next Adam Scott. Coming out, get some exemptions, get your feet wet, and then just thrive from there on. But then I think in this format, more laid back, hasn't had the success. Get your sister out there, who is an unbelievable two-sport athlete. I think if they can get to these kind of tournaments and events, that's where the talent is still unbelievable, right? They're with the lead, and then the guy flies it in the hole, on the 35th hole of the golf tournament. That was pretty epic, and all four of us were on the tee, watching. So he's a talent. His sister's awesome, and I'm actually excited to, not watch her on the LPGA, but also come up on the off weeks. Like, she totally embraced it. We had Allison Lee last year. We had her this year. I think we could see a lot of overlap there, and it's pretty fun to watch.
Precisely. I'm starting to bookmark her on all the LPGA leaderboards. I mean, I'm a fan. I got her autograph when after. I was like, please sign this. And she's like, what do you, stop. I was like, no, honestly, this is meaningful. And so, but to that point, and this is the last question before we bring our distinguished guest on to this table, the women. There was 3 girls in the field, one of which was right there, and everybody on the roses was chanting, Gabby, Gabby, a predominantly male tournament. And you have that going on. It gives me goosebumps. How good are these girls?
Well, really good. They're teeing off from the same tee boxes, obviously. There was no advantage for them. That we took drivers out of, the guys' hands, but the par threes, these girls, when you get them, inside probably 160, 150, they hit the ball so straight. And as I said on the broadcast, when I showed up and saw Kittleson and Stoltz, and they said, this girl can roll the rock. And she showed it. I mean, on the 18th hole, I'm actually standing over there with Kittleson and Stoltz, and they said, this putt is going dead center. And she, boom, dead center, won the golf tournament, posted a score. And like you said, I would honestly say, too, not only the Roses, but even the Munis. Like, I went out there and caught the group with 5 holes to go. They were all there. So they were, cheering on their team. I thought the Roses thing was unbelievable with Gabby and Ryan. A huge team aspect to it. Went in, had a few drinks with the Muskies after. Everyone's embracing their teammates, the owners, the GMs, a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's my only, what I get sad about at night is that although I get to sit up here, I don't get to, maybe stay at the Muskies' house or stay at the, the Muni's house, because it's like a fraternity, and that is epic stuff. But we're going to go to break real quick before we bring on our next guest, who you know very well, and we're going to make a little announcement, and excited to do it. So we'll be right back. Now we're sitting with Drew Kittleson, and before we announce what we want to announce and why we brought you up here in the first place for, but I got a question. You know Ricky Barnes really well, okay? I thought I knew Ricky Barnes, but I didn't know how famous Ricky Barnes is. Can you shed a little light on, the aura and the who Ricky Barnes really is?
Well, Ricky is he's one of one. He's a very good friend, a very good pal, but I think people maybe just because of time forgot how of an elite player he was. I mean, hanging out with LeBron James in Vegas, got selfies with every single, before selfies were a thing, had selfies with every celebrity. No, he was the number one guy, the number one kid, the can't miss kid. And sometimes it's a little bit of a shame, I think, that people think he didn't make it when he had a great career. He had, 10, 15 years on tour, something like that, and almost won the U.S. Open at Bethpage, second place.
Yeah.
And so the notion that it wasn't like, that it was a failure, I think is not remotely true.
I don't know if we can cuss, but who said that he didn't make it? What is it? I mean, he's right there with LeBron and Jay-Z. He's in the final group with Tiger Woods. Yeah, maybe he didn't win it, but like Kobe Bryant said, it's not the destination, it's the journey. Like, what are we talking about? So we'll get back to that. But Drew Kittleson, I get choked up sometimes because you believed in this before anybody really did, and you were one of the better players to really commit, back at Mountain Shadows. He was there. And I was like, unbelievable. Fast forward to our first event under the lights. And sure enough, there's a playoff. All you can ask for, okay? A playoff. And Landco is about to go on. Granted, we just had Big X the plug. A little different back then. Landco, the best golf story we've ever seen, okay? There's 3 Muskie groups and 1 United group. And somehow there's that many golfers, 8 golfers standing on a green, and they're in a playoff, a sudden death playoff, and everybody missed. It comes down to one person, Drew Kittleson. It was like meant to be. And of course he makes it. He turns around and he looks up at the heavens. It was like, I was like, what is going on here? And that was my first broadcast where I'm over in the tent over here that barely had any power. And everyone's like, who is this guy? It's an honor to say you lost the number 1 spot and you just balled out with your boy Drew Stoltz, and you were officially the number 1 player in the world again. So congrats. How does it feel?
Yeah, what an honor. What an honor. The only time I've ever been number 1 at anything. So, no, I tell you, I've said this many times, but this league has continued to exceed all of my expectations. And that's a total kudos to you guys and the whole Grass Clippings, ether that it takes a village, and you guys have done an amazing job. But every single time we come here or I hear about any event, even the little matchups, every time I can't believe this is continuing to grow. We thought maybe it would plateau, and just every single time it keeps getting bigger and better. And the Golf Channel, my dad calls me the next morning. He goes, I'm scrolling through, I was flipping over through the channels, and there's my son on TV, because he doesn't follow. And I'm like, yeah, Dad, there I was. So, but then my high school golf coach, and I get 50 text messages from people I haven't heard from in 20 years that were watching it and seeing me out there. And it's just been an amazing honor to be a part of it, and I feel lucky to be a part of it, and I look forward to where we're headed.
I mean, this league isn't anything without people like yourself showing up and caring and everything. And kind of back to that point you made about someone saying maybe Ricky didn't make it or something, whatever that BS is. I found myself the other day, someone, was like, so who's playing? And I was like, listen, people, Drew Kittleson. And the guy's like, who is Drew Kittleson? And then I thought to myself, how do I explain Drew Kittleson, and what category does he fall under? So, because technically you're an amateur golfer, but there's nothing about your golf career that is amateur. Straight up. You played at Florida State. You got second at the USAM. You played in the Masters. Okay? I don't know the full story, but you played a little bit on the Korn Ferry Tour. You saw there's something else in life you wanted to go chase, but you're still playing golf and competing. We're in this weird space in golf right now that nobody knows their left from right, who from who. You're an amateur golfer, but you're better than half the people that call themselves pro. What category do you fall under?
Well, the game of golf has just gotten so much bigger than it was 20 years ago, and so there's a lot of people that are really talented that didn't make it on tour, and but we still like to get that competitive nature and feel it a little bit, and we get to hang out with some of our best pals, like Ricky, and Sleaze is one of my best pals, and so we get to do these fun things and compete at a high level. And sometimes when you play good, it's still in there, and maybe it's just not in there as much as it used to be. But if I play well, I can still really do it.
And Ricky, now I'm going to ask you a tough question, okay? Because I play basketball with you, as I think we've talked about, and he plays basketball like it's Game 7 of the NBA Finals every time. I'm like, when I get to the gym at 5 a.m., I'm like, be on Ricky's team. Because if you're not on Ricky's team, you're going to get exposed if you're not hustling. If you're maybe hungover or tired or whatnot, be on. My point being is you're a competitor, Ricky, and you were a hell of a golfer then, and you still are. And we're in this weird place in golf. A guy like Colton Oast, is commenting and not really playing, although I would assume he's a fierce competitor, all the things he's accomplished. And he's now trying to get his AM status back, but can't get that back. But he can't really play in the tour. And now to you, where are you in your career? Are you still playing golf? Are you doing something else? I love you guys, and I love to see you guys doing what you want to do. So tell me what you're doing right now, and then explain to me what category do you fall under?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to be out there playing every week on the PGA Tour. I'm a veteran member, lifetime member of the PGA Tour. If you've made 150 cuts or have won on the PGA Tour, you'll have lifetime status on the PGA Tour. What does that mean now? And kind of to Drew's point, like there's so many good golfers out there that say don't make it, or even if you have made it, the tour in general has made it for less pro golfers now, right? Guys are going to go have an unbelievable college career and have to get into something else. We're cutting from 125 to 100 players. Korn Ferry is still staying the same, and there's a few others. So we can get pro golfers and amateur golfers together, grass league, to have a great event. And you're still going to have great players like, both Drews, Kittleson and Stoltz. You're going to have, Harrington. You're going to have Belgians. You're going to have Nost, all that. But for me, once I lost my full status about 3.5 years ago, I started working for a private real estate company, a buddy that I had met when I was in Tahoe, and I just can't sit around and practice for 10 or 12 straight weeks and not get into anything. You mentioned it on the broadcast. Would I love to come out and play with a buddy in this event? Yes, but I wouldn't be able to get, or you would give up a year roughly status, suspension from the PGA Tour. What does it mean for me? Not really that much. Try to get into Monday qualifiers, which they're going to get rid of. I wouldn't have TPC facilities to my advantage, across the country, which isn't that much. But I need to stay busy. Like I said, I work for a company called Forum Investment Group, based out of Cherry Creek, and I still love playing golf, competing. We get out with these guys all the time, but to get out, do a little announcing, and for me, I thought it was unbelievable. Came out, these guys were 4 under through 4, so were the Ruffles, and I got to go follow 2 of my best buds, not only in the Valley but in life, for their last 6 or 7 holes to go try to win a GL championship.
Whatever you end up doing or whatever you're doing, you're going to be successful at. If that's basketball at the Village at 5 a.m., if that's calling golf, or that's at a real estate company or on a golf course, I feel like the matrix is breaking right now, because you have the new commissioner of the PGA Tour coming in and saying, we got it, we're going to do this, we're shrinking it, we need the elite guys. Meanwhile, telling people like Ricky Barnes they can't play in tournaments like this. I'm not a very smart guy, okay? There's many more smart people out there, but I can call that doesn't make any sense to me. And Ricky, I love you. I just want to see you compete, and I know you play more pickleball than golf now, but I think a lot of people will enjoy watching you play golf someday. So,
yeah, I mean, I appreciate it. The thing is I'm able to play pickleball a lot more than I'm allowed to actually play professional golf. So, and it just so happens that about 95% of the time I'm either playing with or against Drew Kittleson,
and what I would say,
AKA the number 1 par 3 player in the world.
But number 2 in pickleball if he's on the field or the court. He's the best pickleball player of our core friends.
I've heard these games are historic. I got to see this. So
we might need Todd to come call one of our events.
That would be amazing.
I would love that.
Yeah, that's mandatory.
By the way, we had like a 30-minute conversation. We were driving the course, and I'm asking him questions. I was like, this is gonna be epic, dude. This is Ricky. After this, I was like, and he's like, dude, yeah, like like Kittleson and I, we can move the ball this way, that way, and I'm like, okay, yeah. He's like, Stoltz can't. He can just. I'm like.
I said he needs reps, and when he gets reps, he's good. He's like, wait, what are you talking about? And I'm like, no, like, we have this hate match now. I said, we used to just rotate, and then we go. And I said, now there's just a hate match going on between. And he's like, wait, like, and then I mentioned Bryce Mulder, and he says, and he's like, wait, he's not that good. I'm like, no, he is. He's like, well, didn't he win on tour? I'm like, I'm talking about pickleball here.
I was like, Ricky, let's get
He
what
thought
the.
I was talking about golf.
I was like, what the hell? What? Okay. It was a great start to the week. Again, congratulations, number 1 player in the world. Rest in peace, Billy Haynes. We hope you could achieve that once more, but I think it's going to be a little bit tougher going forward. I want to talk about the golf though. Again, I said I was jealous that you were out in the mix, Ricky, because there were some special moments out there, and in particular on number 15 green, when, again, I love to be hard on you guys because you're good. Again, you guys are that good. You guys
good. They're great. He's the number 1 player, par 3 player in the world.
Thank you, Ricky. They double bogeyed that hole 2 years ago, or last year at this GL Championship. The first hole they played together, I believe, in the GL Championship, or being paired together in that scramble, they went out there, and I was like, here they go. They're gonna take off. And I'm like, is there something wrong with the TikTok? Did they double bogey? And sure enough, they both hit shots right in front of the green. They zipped back, and it wasn't the best shot. And so I continue to, be hard on you guys. And then the Ruffles put it to the same spot. And then, I mean, take it from there, Ricky. You were standing. What happened?
I actually think they both hit good shots in there. Kind of hit up, they're a little false front, really tough pin. And the most unbelievable thing about that green was both the first player, Kittleson kind of frees up Stoltz, hits a chip. Unbelievable, by the way, just short in the heart. But actually gives his partner a chance to actually use the putter. That's what I always liked. I kind of said it on the broadcast, like the chipper, get it close, give him an opportunity. Obviously, I'd love to see his go in, but don't put it in that 6-7 foot range where your partner still feels like, hey, let's not give us that for par. And then he just buries it. You see them shooting air jump hoops, giving me 3-5s. It was unbelievable, right? Go take a sip of your cocktail or whatever, juice. And then what I thought was probably maybe the turn of the tournament, or even maybe a little bit of a shot to your guys' chest, and that's to you, is Ryan Ruffles makes that putt. And that's when I really thought we were going to get a tie ball game moving into 16. Kat, what'd you think once he made it, like between you and Stoltz?
We were playing so well. We were battling. We were 8 under through 10 and never had the honor. So that's kind of where the tournament was headed. And so, yeah, Sleaze makes the 1 in a 50 putt, and then they kind of have the same putt. So you think, the odds had to be way in our favor if there was odds on the screen. And then they make it, and you're like, man, maybe, just you're human. You think maybe this isn't going to happen. Maybe I can't catch them.
And I actually thought Gabby rolled hers by quite a bit, right? Exactly what I said to not do. So I was like, oh, Ryan's maybe just going to limp it up there, go tie ball game getting in. And when he canned it, and then that was their kind of first show of emotion out on the coverage too. They were 5-in and doing a little bit. Once they kind of did it, both teams were starting to show up around the greens. That's where I really thought the tournament kind of took off, and the energy, and got a little emotional out there, and some energy, leading into the 16th tee. I don't know what, Todd felt.
I think that's an understatement, emotional. You see Ryan Ruffles, who, again, we've talked about him before, coming around going like this. And I think Paige said it. She's like, that looks like a Tiger Woods fist bump. And I love to say, to be young again. And like his emotion, his personality, everything came out in that putt. And it was just so cool to see. And then, again, playing with his sister. And then they go to the next hole, and I said, Gabby makes another birdie putt. And then I'm sitting there, and Stoltz is going like this. And I'm like, look at, they can't get a leg up on these guys. But, then you guys come down the stretch, and the Ruffles, crazy birdie on 16, blow up the hole on 17, make par, and then birdie here. But it's not as if you guys played bad either. And it seems like you have a knack for playing well on these last couple holes, which you did. So kind of tell me about how you finished, and even though it wasn't the result you were hoping for, what you felt.
Before I answer that, I think having Archie Bradley on 15, I think that was awesome. I can't tell you how many players brought that up, and the energy he brought, booing, but also going crazy. That was an awesome feature. To have the one hole that he's on, have him be there while we do that long putt with Sleaze, and then the Ruffles make their long putt. It was kind of the perfect storm to have Archie there. Sleaze and I talked about it yesterday. We thought, man, that's kind of all we got. We wish we would have finished a little bit stronger. On 16, I flagged it, and I thought it was going to be really close, and it ended up being about 12, 15 feet short, and we both missed. And then, it's golf. It's tough. We could have hit a couple shots better, but that was 8 under through 10 that's all we got. And then just kind of let off the gas, and you can't do that in this thing.
It's pretty interesting component where it's like, depending on where you tee off, it's almost like you don't want to be the leader going into the last day, because by the time you tee off, Ned and I were talking about a ton. You're
in 7th or something.
You're 7 back to Kittleson and Stoltz, and it's like then the putt on 3 feels like it's a must make, and then so guys are kind of trying to catch up. But I want to get your thoughts about, although you didn't win, the Ruffles won, and Gabby in particular. Watching a group of guys, predominantly men, there's 3 girls in the field, and they're all huddled around her chanting, Gabby, Gabby, Gabby. Although you didn't win, what was going through your mind when you saw everything unfold on 18?
I think I mentioned it to Rick on the broadcast that both the Ruffles, they're so nice, and they're so kind, and they were just amazing playing partners, and they're so sweet that as much as you kind of want to fake hate your competitor while you're out there and compete, they were just so awesome to play with, and played with great pace, both of them too. And so as much as I want to hate them, they were great people, and I look forward to playing with them again. Gabby, I know she's a great player, but even great players have good and legendary putting days, and that was just a legendary putting day. There's no ifs, buts about it.
And I find it funny because, Drew just asked me a little while ago, I hear he's on like a YouTube channel with some guys or whatnot. I'm like, yeah, with Jason Day. You know who that guy is? Maybe Drew Kittleson needs a YouTube channel. Do you know what YouTube is?
Yeah, I got the app. I watched some couple things on it. I mean, kudos to him. He was the can't miss kid. Ryan was, and kudos to him to finding other ways to monetize his golf skills and his apparent on-screen skills, or whatever you call YouTube skills, and to pair up with Jason Day that's powerful too. So kudos to him to figuring it all out.
Well, Ricky, what are your final thoughts? I mean, again, we've talked about your pedigree, being out here for the first time, starting the broadcast, having just said Wales vagina on Golf Central. Kind of give your best summary of the weekend and the final night.
Well, I think, Kitty just kind of said it too. Kudos to the Grass League, right? Given a lot of these people, whether it's, YouTube stars, another platform to play on. Last year was Peacock. This year it's Golf Channel. Drew's dad says he's clicking through the channels, and some people are telling him that. I'm out on the golf course. I start calling it on like hole 12, and I got one of the team owners, Wyndham Clark, FaceTiming me from the Bahamas. I'm like, dude, we're on air. Like, he goes, I know. I'm like, well, you know that I can't answer it. So you got, a lot of team owners from the PGA Tour following it. You got great amateurs, great pros, LPGA pros competing, winning. I just thought it was an unbelievable week. I asked a lot of the players out there, from PGA Tour winners to some of my best friends in the world, how they enjoyed it, how they liked it. And Drew said, hey, get us the dates as soon as possible. We're going to make everything and anything possible to play in it, every event in 2026. And personally, I got to thank the chef for letting me get a little piece of his mic and airtime. And like I said, I'd love to be a part of it as well. I enjoyed walking around with these guys and girls. And it's an event, yes, I'd love to play in. Obviously, this wasn't, I wasn't as fortunate to play in it this time, but maybe further down the road, they'll give me a little bit of that. If not, I want to be out here calling it with my friends, family, everything else.
Ricky, you have a spot, whatever you want to do. As we like to say, if you can make it, we'd love to have you. Shout out to Chef. Shout out to Wyndham Clark. Their team took home the season-long points race. Although I think it was more Kevin Flawn than Wyndham, because he was really the guy behind the roster moves and all that stuff. And that's going to be our next show, by the way. Talking about the storylines, trades. I don't even know if you're on the Muskies right now. I don't want to I don't want Brian Hoops to come knock on my door or anything like that. I don't know if you guys have a contract, but there's a lot of questions out there. But I'm going to end it with this. I think the whole thing is summarized best by Matt Ryan down here after they missed a putt and get interviewed by Ricky. And I was a little nervous when you put the mic over to those guys, because I know they're fiery competitors. And Matt Ryan said, what's your summary in one word or one? He goes, happy. He goes, happy. Look around. He goes, from the volunteers to the players, he goes, the world needs this. The world needs this. And so it's a pleasure. Drew, again, thanks for playing well, being the best player in the world. Thanks for making that first putt. Thanks for coming to Mountain Shadows and showing up. It means a lot. Ricky, thanks for doing the frosty tips back then, because you really inspired me. But long live the Grass League. You'll be hearing from us.